There are companies you recognize instantly: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta. And then there are companies that almost no one talks about. No marketing, no ads, no flashy CEOs on magazine covers. Yet these corporations quietly influence wars, currencies, elections, economies, even the direction of global history. They're not household names, but they are the silent giants behind the world's money. Welcome to Legacy of Money, where we uncover the hidden systems shaping power today and why the most important forces in your life might be the ones you've then never heard of. Because today's story isn't about brands, it's about shadows, and the corporations living inside them. Let's begin. Most people imagine power as something loud: political speeches, Wall Street headlines, billionaires tweeting from private jets. But real power isn't loud. Real power is invisible, measured not in followers, but in leverage. In the modern financial world, a handful of corporations don't just operate inside economies. They own pieces of every economy on Earth. And the first one sits at the top of a mountain almost no citizen sees: BlackRock. If tech companies control your data, BlackRock controls something even more valuable: your financial future. With trillions under management, it has stakes in thousands of corporations: airlines, oil companies, tech firms, media networks, even water utilities. If you've ever flown on a major airline, filled your car with gas, streamed a movie, or invested in a retirement fund, BlackRock was probably there, quietly earning a cut. Governments take BlackRock's calls. Presidents listen to its analysts. When global markets shake, BlackRock becomes the emergency doctor and the patient at the same time. But here's the strange part: most people don't understand what BlackRock actually does. Because that's the point. But the story doesn't end with one corporation. No empire stands alone, not even in finance. Shadow power works in layers. So let's pull back the curtain deeper. Vanguard. If BlackRock is the strategist, Vanguard is the silent landlord, quietly owning entire sectors of the global economy through index funds. Their investors think they're buying slices of the market. But in reality, they're fueling a corporation that owns massive controlling stakes in the companies that define modern life. And unlike most corporations, Vanguard has no traditional shareholders, no flashy headquarters dominating city skylines, no CEO whose face goes viral. Just an ocean of quiet influence, spreading through every stock you didn't realize was connected. Together, BlackRock and Vanguard own so much of the corporate world that you can trace the financial DNA of almost any major company back to them. McDonald's, pharmaceutical giants, defense contractors, streaming platforms, automakers. They're all part of the same interconnected web. This isn't conspiracy. It's capitalism, scaled up and wrapped in silence. But what if I told you there's a corporation even more hidden? One that doesn't just own companies, it helps decide how nations themselves function? Enter the Bank for International Settlements, the BIS. You've heard of the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of England. But the BIS is the bank of those banks. When central bankers meet in Basel, Switzerland, they don't meet in a public hall. They meet inside a tower built to feel like a fortress where decisions ripple across global currencies, interest rates, and entire economies. The BIS doesn't trend on social media, but its decisions can raise or collapse the price of your home, your groceries, your fuel, your future. Every time a country battles inflation, recessions, or financial panic, the BIS is in the background, coordinating the response. It is the quiet architect of global monetary order. Not elected, not well known, but always present. Now let's step into something even more hidden: the corporations that shape global credit. Moody's, S&P Global, and Fitch. They don't build products. They don't run factories. They don't sell a single physical thing. But their ratings can decide whether a nation rises or collapses. If they downgrade a country's credit rating, borrowing costs skyrocket, currencies fall, stock markets panic, governments lose elections. A single letter from AA to B can erase billions overnight. Imagine a company with the power to destabilize a nation simply by adjusting a number on a spreadsheet. Now imagine 3 of them. This is the world you live in, a world where financial judgment isn't just powerful, it's global law. But perhaps the most surprising corporations of all are the ones that don't even look like corporations. Saudi Aramco, Gazprom, the world's massive state-backed oil giants. These companies aren't just businesses, they're geopolitical weapons. When Saudi Aramco adjusts oil production, the entire global economy trembles. When Russia shifts gas flows, Europe adjusts its politics. Oil isn't just energy, it's leverage. And these corporations have more of it than anyone else on Earth. They influence conflicts, alliances, treaties, wars, and global prices, all without ever speaking to the average citizen. They don't need to. Their influence speaks for them. So what connects all these invisible giants? Power without attention, control without visibility, influence without fame. They don't care if you know them. They care if your government does. They care if the world economy responds. They operate behind the scenes not because they are hiding, but because the system itself hides them. They thrive in silence because silence is efficient. And the world moves at their pace, whether we notice or not. Here is the truth. The future of global power won't be decided by presidents or celebrities. It will be decided by the corporations you never hear about. BlackRock will shape markets. Vanguard will influence industries. BIS will guide currencies. Credit agencies will judge nations. Oil giants will pressure world politics. Most people see history through the headlines. But history is made in the margins, where money moves, unseen. And the question isn't whether these corporations are good or bad. The question is whether we understand the world they're building. Because if you don't see the architecture of power, you become part of its foundation. If this opened your eyes even a little, hit subscribe. Here at Legacy of Money, we don't just tell stories. We expose the systems shaping your future.